Crypto September. Dread comes to investors as they know the market's going to bottom out harder than they ever thought. And September is upon us, and lo and behold, we went down this morning. So the dread is just building and everyone's looking to short and sell out. We should all sell and buy in October, right? No, I actually don't believe September is going to be that bad this year. And here's why. There have been Septembers where it's been really bad, but usually it's been just a modest drop for September. And the thing is, we actually have a lot of stuff going for us this year that we didn't have in the previous years. For one, the unemployment rate went up today. Usually unemployment, economy down, that would be bad, right? But not so this time because Jerome Powell wants to pwn employment numbers so people are out of a job and are poor. You know why? It's not because of Jerome Powell's evil. Well, maybe he is evil, but it's not because of that. It's because if people are poor and they have no money, they can't buy stuff. And if they can't buy stuff, inflation will go down. You can't afford rent? Obviously, rent overall is going to go down. You can't afford food? Well, there's not going to be as many food sales, so food's going to go down. I mean, you might starve, but that's a secondary consequence to food prices going down for Jerome Powell. You know, no one wants to travel because it's too expensive. Gas goes down, despite what the Saudis are actually doing. So the thing about employment rates is it's actually opposite of what is usual for crypto and the economy. So overall, the employment rate report today actually made the stock market go up. Now, crypto had an opposite effect because every single one of the ETFs was actually postponed. And Bitwise actually withdrew their ETF for some odd reason or other. I don't really understand that. But the employment numbers are actually not that good. And that means more people are out of a job. People aren't quitting jobs and looking for better jobs so much anymore. So the fat cats are winning. And if the fat cats are winning, that means their policies are working. And they might actually want to back off on the interest rate hikes so America doesn't get super poor and people start to revolt against Jerome Powell. And I do think like one of the Fed governors said they were actually done with raising interest rates, although that is not Jerome Powell's opinion. But however, I think the report does make it much less likely that they're going to raise interest rates again. And we have two more possible dates for raises, one in September and one in November. And if they don't raise in either of those times, I do believe the market is going to go up. So that's the first sign of goodness we have right here. Second sign, of course, the SEC is losing lawsuits hand over foot. They lost the Ripple one. I mean, people will say they tied or something, but realistically they lost. They lost the Grayscale one, and that might force them to get a Bitcoin ETF within like 45 days, actually, because they have to either file an appeal or figure out some way to deny the ETF within the 45 days that won't get taken to court again by Grayscale. Because if Grayscale takes them to court again and they don't have another good reason, they're going to get smacked down by the judge. They can go for an en banc appeal, which means they have the full 17-judge panel make the ruling instead of just a 3-judge panel like they did here. But those appeals generally don't work. And remember, in an appeals case, you are not allowed to submit new information. So basically, the SEC's whole argument is like, we're the SEC and we don't like this ETF. So even though we approve futures ETFs, we're going to deny that one. I don't think the rest of the judges are going to buy that one either. So they're up a creek without a paddle. And another just as significant case, Uniswap actually got their case dismissed against a plaintiff for selling unregistered securities. And that definitely might bolster the Coinbase and Binance cases, at least the Coinbase case, because the Coinbase case is being ruled on by the same judge in the same district. So they're piling up loss after loss after loss. And Gary Gensler is getting pwned over and over and over again. It just matters like how many losses can he pile up before they finally get rid of him. And several representatives have already called for his resignation for his treatment of the crypto market and also his losses in these lawsuits because they're making the SEC look really bad. And the judges have shown they're not afraid to rule against the government if it means reining in the government's power. So the SEC is not doing so well, and I think legally things are actually looking in favor of crypto. And that, of course, means like people are looking forward to those ETFs, those big, juicy ETFs that could come around as soon as early next year, possibly even late this year. Because once again, the SEC probably does not want Grayscale to actually be the only ETF out there. And they want BlackRock and Fidelity to be able to compete in that market with Grayscale. So if they only have 45 days, they have to make a decision by like, October 10th or something. They might just allow those other ETFs to go through in mid-October. I still think they're going to delay until January or March, but there is a possibility that they will actually just let them go through in October. So on the legal side, we're definitely getting some help from the judges. On the regulatory clarity side, Congress is working on both stablecoin regulations and crypto regulations. And it does actually look like they're not going to declare all cryptocurrencies are securities. Despite what Elizabeth Warren wants and Brad Sherman wants, a lot of other senators and congressmen are actually pro-crypto, and that's on both sides of the aisle. A lot of them are on the GOP side, but there are several on the Democratic side that are also pro-crypto. And the thing is, like, when you have a bipartisan effort like that, I think it's going to come out well. Other countries are adopting crypto. They're getting those jobs from crypto, and there's lucrative offers and businesses that are forming from crypto. And many of those congressmen do not want to be left out because their constituents want it, and their state actually needs economic development in that sense. So I think those kind of economic realities are going to override whatever hate there is towards crypto. There's really only a couple of senators and congressmen that are really standing in the way of crypto, but I think those are going to be overridden by the mountains of congressmen and senators that are going to be pro-crypto very, very soon in the future. And yes, even though crypto does have somewhat of a partisan divide, it's more bipartisan than most other issues. So the thing is, like, I think as more and more people go to crypto, the people that are going to be anti-crypto are going to lose votes. Their parties are going to see that, especially the Democratic Party, because they're the one that's more anti-crypto, and they're going to turn more pro-crypto in order to not lose those votes and those voters, because a lot of people want into this market, and even the people that don't like it aren't really like gung-ho against it. They're like, yeah, we just won't deal with it, and whoever wants to deal with it can actually deal with it. So I do actually think on the legal side, clarity is coming both internationally and nationally. And because of that, big companies are actually adopting cryptocurrency for utility. And the thing is, like, when you actually get utility, it's going to be harder for them to argue that it is a security. Now, like I said, I don't believe this utility will actually drive the price of the coins up, which could actually be another argument in favor of them not being securities. I do believe the main attraction and main price increase is going to be from DeFis and on-chain things. But the utility will give them a base to actually work on, and will give them the argument that they are not securities solely intended for investment. And you're seeing like both in remittance, in logistics, and in tracking, you're seeing that a lot of companies are actually adopting blockchain and cryptocurrencies. Obviously, consensus and all the EVM stuff is getting people in as well. And a judge just did call Ethereum a commodity, which is something that SEC Chair Gary Gensler has been trying to avoid for a long time. But that means the shift in attitude is definitely occurring. It might take a while, but it's definitely started. And if Ethereum is a commodity, then pretty much everything else has to be a commodity, because Ethereum doesn't really, because it's now POS, Ethereum doesn't really have any advantages that make it a commodity over any of those other coins right now. So more and more people, both in the judicial branch, the legislative branch, and maybe even the executive branch, are seeing it as more of a commodity. And Gary Gensler and the SEC cannot stop those things. And once again, the SEC is not entirely united on what they actually want to do about crypto. So the mountain of allies that crypto is gaining is growing day by day. And because of that, I think crypto has a really, really good future in terms of regulations, in terms of clarity, and in terms of both national and international adoption. I think CBDCs, even though they aren't really crypto, and obviously they don't champion the idea of privacy or security for your transactions, I think that will get more people actually to look at the crypto market because it is blockchain technology. So I think like with that, more people will actually get interested in crypto. And China today just actually said crypto is an asset that's actually protected by law. So like, you're getting rules and structure built around that as well. I think the IRS is eventually going to have to relent and write nicer tax laws towards crypto as they want to attract more crypto investment to the United States and not let it leak elsewhere. I definitely think competition from abroad is going to force better crypto regulations because there are already enough congressmen that want good crypto regulations, but like reality is definitely going to force their hand sometime sooner or later. So for all those things coming in, I think September is going to further those things, and especially with a lawsuit and the ETF stuff, I think there will be some bullish sentiment. And if we do drop, we probably won't stay under 25,000 for long. So I do not see a catastrophic drop for September. If it does drop, it'll probably be a very minor drop. Yes, you can wait for that to pick up some more coins, but honestly, you're risking a lot, and you are risking that you have to buy at a much higher price. So I don't think September is going to be that red. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe, hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.